Okay, guys, so I am back with Arrowverse, but this is just included into part 2 as well. So one thing I did forget to mention was that I explained how Superman and Lois was it's a good show, but it's probably one of the biggest F-up shows of all time by rewriting it out of the Arrowverse. And, the same actor that plays Superman in the Supergirl show and on the Arrowverse crossovers goes into the new one, and you have the same actors who played Lucy Lane and them, except for General Lane, who you changed the character, the former actor from Supergirl, to this version. And they rewrite it and say that the only hero is Superman and stuff, which kind of sucks. And then, also he has a brother and everything else. So I just found it very ridiculous, and that was definitely one of the biggest F-ups. The other one I did mention was I did a video a while ago about Arrowverse nonsense of it seemed to me that every single show went back to being its own standalone show, where I explained how Barry and Cora and Legends of Tomorrow, those 3 shows, could cross over at times and stuff and have little mini crossovers like the Flash and Green Arrow did in the beginning before the biggest crossover, which was Invasion, and then, Invasion, Crisis on Earth X, Elseworlds, Crisis on Infinite Earths, and Armageddon as the 5 big crossovers. And ultimately, I just found it very ridiculous how they did all of this by discontinuing. Oh, well, Supergirl's in the Phantom Zone, so that's why she can't cross over in Superman and Lois. Oh, because Batwoman and stuff with the pandemic and all of this, and yada, yada, yada. The biggest thing, though, that I have to say is that the biggest F-up was definitely making Superman and Lois and making a big disconnect. The other biggest F-up was making all the shows merge onto one Earth. Because it seems to me that Legends of Tomorrow was the biggest one that didn't have a problem with anything and was not affected by the changes as much as Supergirl and The Flash. Like, Green Arrow pretty much ended after that point, after Crisis, and there weren't really that many changes because, Green Arrow and Flash have always been linked on the same Earth to begin with. So Flash says there's over 3.7 trillion or over 3.275 trillion different changes that happened. Gideon tells him that thanks to Crisis. Now, I don't know how Gideon knows about it. It's very confusing. But ultimately, she tells him that, and that's why he can't find his mom and dad's grave and everything else in between where they should be and stuff. Even Cora has to be adjusted because now apparently Lex Luthor is a good guy in the eyes of the beholder because everyone's former lives got rearranged. Now, I think like James Olsen and all of the people that are close to Cora didn't really get their lives changed that much. I mean, Eve Tessmacher did when she became a villain, and the Leviathan guys got their powers slowed down thanks to Crisis and when the Earth blew up and stuff. But ultimately, I do think it was a big F-up by merging all of them together because you really don't see Sarah Lance and all of them grieving over the grieving process in the Legends of Tomorrow show. They just kind of make mockery of all the crossovers and stuff. So I don't know. And I think it was just big screw up by saying, oh yeah, there's this president, that president, and so forth and so on. I think it was just a little bit ridiculous. Let me know your thoughts, guys. But those are my thoughts on stuff that I forgot to mention in my other part. I find it a little ridiculous how they did those big mistakes and stuff. And definitely by merging all the Earths together, they could have had more crossovers and stuff. And it was like, okay, why didn't Barry cross over onto Supergirl in the final episode? Or why didn't this happen? There's too many teams now. Like, Supergirl's team is the biggest team. Everyone has superpowers and stuff. So I think it was a little ridiculous. You guys let me know what your thoughts are. But I'm hoping Melissa does, in fact, come back in The Flash Season 9 and does come back in Superman and Lois. But we'll see what happens. Let me know your thoughts.